to our colleagues in Switzerland. Eliane?
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Jennifer. And thank you also for organizing this session with us, for us. Can you hear me well? Yes, good. Okay. Well, thank you. First of all, we'd like to thank you for your interest in the BA/MA program, which I will be happy to introduce to you very quickly. My name is Eliane Minassian. I am the Deputy Head of the Student Services, and I am the Head of the International Programs. That's how we are involved in the BA/MA program. And I also have a third hat, which is I am the Coordinator of the Student Wellbeing and Support Service at the Graduate Institute. But let's get back to the BA/MA program. Wellesley College is one of our 12 partners of our joint programs, and it was in 2017 that the first students from Wellesley started this particular BA/MA program. I think at today we have 20 students have done or started this program so far. I will let my colleagues Michal Sela, Head of the Admissions Office, present the Institute to you later on, and Silke Olsen, who is the Academic Coordinator of the Interdisciplinary Master Program, present this renewed program. But to start with, let me give you an overview of what you can expect from the BA/MA program. It gives you the possibility to begin a master program at the Graduate Institute during your 4th year of your bachelor studies. You will then take the fall semester at the Graduate Institute and return to Wellesley College during the spring semester to finish your BA program. This is possible thanks to an agreement and mutual recognition of credits during this year by both institutions. At the Graduate Institute, you will have the choice between an interdisciplinary master program called the Master in International and Development Studies. And in order to choose this program, you will need to show 3 years of studies in social science and at the BA level. You also have the choice to select one of the 5 other disciplinary masters in either anthropology and sociology, international histories and political science, international history and politics, international law, and international economics. To participate in one of these programs, 3 years of at bachelor level in a relevant discipline are required, and the programs specializing in law and economics require a solid background in these fields of studies. Michal and Silke will tell you more about these programs. Tuition fees of your 4th year of studies, when you spend the fall semester at the Graduate Institute, are paid directly by Wellesley, and tuition fees for the following and final year of your master program are paid by the students. They are then of 8,000 Swiss francs for the year. It's important to note that students who wish to apply to the Graduate Institute for tuition for financial aid, which is possible only during their 2nd year, have to do this when they apply to the program. No request will be taken into consideration thereafter. If you would like to apply to the BA/MA program, you will need to be nominated by Wellesley College first. This is important that you therefore use the special link which we have provided to the Office of International Studies at Wellesley. This will be provided to you by the Office of International Studies at Wellesley. This will also allow us to keep an eye on the selection process while the decisions are being taken at another level. The application deadline is 15th of January, and we also have a late application run on 1st of March, but we recommend you to consider the January deadline. Besides our regular master program, we offer students who do not speak French or who have little knowledge to participate in a French course organized at the Graduate Institute. If you have no or little knowledge, you will attend a 3 weeks intensive course prior to the start of the academic year in September, and then follow weekly classes during the fall semester. We encourage you to pursue French lessons during the spring semester when you go back to Wellesley College. At the beginning of the fall semester, you will take a French course or French test, and in case you failure, you will then continue the French lessons during the semester, and finally you take a test again at the start of the 4th semester. Students who speak fluently French or do have a secondary or post-secondary diploma in French and who can produce a French language certificate are not required to take the French courses. Once admitted, students will receive regular communications informing them about the next steps to take, like the visa application process, which is required for non-EU citizens. It's important to note that the visa process may take up to 3 months, so you have to get organized once you have been admitted. Students have the possibility to apply to an accommodation at the student's residence. Their tariffs vary between 800 francs upwards. Housing in Geneva is generally quite expensive, and the closer we get to the start of the academic year, the less rooms you will find generally, and the little rooms who are then available are less affordable. We therefore encourage you to contact the housing administration at the soonest as well. As for your living expenses, if you have a monthly budget of minimum 1,800 to 2,000 francs, you will be able to cover reasonable costs for housing, insurance, transportation, and food. This is it for the BA-MA program. I now invite Michal to present the Graduate Institute more broadly, and afterwards we leave the floor to Silke. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Eliane. Thanks very much. Before we go on though, do you guys have any questions about everything that Eliane just said? Anything real quick? She gave you a lot of stuff really quickly. Okay, how long do I have? Because I can go on and I forget myself. So how long do I have to speak? Jennifer, Eliane, who's timing me?
10 minutes?
10 minutes? Okay, all right, I'll try to do this in 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I've been asked to tell you about the Graduate Institute, not about the program, which Silke will do later. So if I start going on about that, just stop me immediately. I'm going to share my screen because I do have a little presentation to show you. This is chronic. Every time I prepare it, every time it's not on the page where it needs to be. So hang on for a minute. It's almost funny how that happens. Let me see if I can get it now. Yes, here we go. So you can see that the presentation is actually on one of our web pages, and you guys can go and watch it anytime you want. It's a page called Meet Us. So it's right here, and I want to make it full screen. All right, can you see a page that says a commitment to excellence? Yeah, okay, great. So who is the Graduate Institute? What is the Graduate Institute? What makes it special or different from some other schools? I think one of the basic things to keep in mind about the Graduate Institute is that we were founded in 1927. If I were in a classroom, I would say, who knows what else was going on in Geneva in the 1920s? But we're not in a classroom. And so you probably know, maybe you don't, that the League of Nations was founded in Geneva at about the same time, which is the precursor of the United Nations. And in the photo that you can see here, these students are standing in front of the United Nations building, actually, which is up the road from us. So this is important because Geneva was beginning to play a role which it still plays today in the world. Geneva is an international capital of diplomacy. This is where heads of state and researchers and opinion leaders come together to hash out their differences, to represent their countries, represent their views, and disagree with other people. And there's this lively debate. The reason that they can do it here in Geneva is because Switzerland traditionally, historically, has been a neutral country. So that gives people some kind of a safe space. Switzerland is not necessarily aligned with one view or another, and so people can come and talk, and Switzerland will ensure that they can do that, with all the diplomatic protocol and safety. And the Graduate Institute from that time has aimed to be kind of the academic facet of all that diplomatic activity. And it's something that we still try to do today. So that gives you a little bit about, just kind of the identity, the type of place that we are. more on that in just a minute. But I want to really jump quickly to this slide. I don't know how many of the students at Wellesley are international and not American. I know that when I went to university, I was one of maybe 10, 15, 12% of international students at my school. And I came as the foreigner, and I was trying to learn about the local culture. I wanted to learn the food and the jokes and the holidays and everything. At the Graduate Institute, we flipped that statistic on its head. About 10% of our students are Swiss. Okay, so we can't really say that we're a Swiss school. We're really very much an international school, and a very small one. We're very niche, we're very specialized. We only have about 1,000 students. We only have graduate programs, master and PhDs. We don't have any undergrad programs, okay? And only in a handful of disciplines, which you'll see in a minute. So what happens when you walk onto our campus? One of the first things that will happen is that you'll notice all the ways in which people are different from one another, because they all come from different places, from different cultures. They speak different languages, etc. Maybe the one thing that unites them is that they're all arriving in Switzerland as foreigners. So, we tend to bond around, us against, or us trying to adjust and adapt to the local culture. But this is really important because, like I said before, we've got this neutrality, we've got the safe space to confront and to share. And, I was speaking to a student earlier on today who said, are you going to be able to teach me how to be a diplomat in Capitol Hill? Because that's what I want to do. And I said, yeah, but, we're not a school that's going to teach you the foreign policy of any one country. We're not here to train people in the foreign service. We take a zoom out all the way up as much as we can. So what will happen at the Graduate Institute is that you will always have like the super geopolitical, the super international, global perspective on things. And in the classroom, where you have 20 people sitting around a table and everybody comes from a different country, we're not talking about mathematical or chemistry formulas that are kind of universal and we can all agree on. We're talking about our beliefs and our religion and our politics and our historical narrative. So right in your first class, you're going straight into things that you're really going to disagree about. And that's kind of, where the magic of the learning happens. It might be the first time that students are hearing a narrative from an opposite part of the world, maybe an opposite side of a conflict that their country was involved in. It can be kind of scary and destabilizing, right? But remember, we're giving them a safe, neutral space. So that's the kind of thing that goes on at the Graduate Institute. We're bringing all of these views, all of these experiences together. And we're saying, let's learn to disagree. Let's learn to listen, and let's learn to try to hold up all the different points of view all at the same time, because this is how we learn to understand what is going on around us in the world. It's that multiplicity of viewpoints that we feel is really, really important. So I said that, the Graduate Institute was founded all the way back then, about 100 years ago, to be the academic facet of the diplomatic activity happening in Geneva. We really have so under academic, we really put different things. We put the programs that we teach. We also are very active in the area of research. That's kind of the research activities kind of take on a life of their own at the Institute. And we also have what we call forum activities, which is just what I was describing. It's all the conferences and the debates and the public events. We have more than one a day. We have lots and lots of these events that are happening and that really enrich the learning experience. I think I've used up 5 minutes of my 10, but if anybody is keeping track, please cough loudly when I run out of time. So I'm not going to talk to you in great detail, but just know that these are the 9 research centers that we have at the Institute. You can see that they're not tied directly to the academic majors, to the disciplines that we teach. They cut across them. So if you're going to study democracy, you're going to be looking at it from economics and from history and from international law, from different perspectives. This means that we can draw faculty members and researchers from all over the world who also then teach in our programs. And most of our faculty are actually involved in research activities. So you can see that the teaching and the research are really enriching one another all the time, and our students get exposure to this very high level research community. It also means that the international organizations in Geneva recognize our capacity and the quality, and they give these centers research mandates, right? So that's kind of in terms of the quality of the stuff that goes on and the networking with the international organizations. So these are the 5 disciplines that we teach at the Graduate Institute, which Eliane mentioned earlier, and it made me laugh because I was thinking international, you know, it comes up in all of the titles, and it's what I said before about always keeping the geopolitical perspective up in the air. And of course, the interdisciplinary program, which Silke will talk about. So I'm not going to steal her thunder. I'll let her talk about that. But I will show you that our master programs can lead into PhD, so doctoral research-based degrees afterwards. And again, you can see the weight of the research activities that we have as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the exchange opportunities, maybe just to show you the scope of our academic partnerships, kind of graphically. You don't have to read the lists, just kind of see where they are, because this wouldn't necessarily be all that relevant. We do have programs in the summer as well. These are short programs. They can give you academic credit, although they don't give you a diploma as such. And this is often used by students who want to just kind of get a taster of what it would be like to study international affairs with us in this city, you know, COVID permitting, that we can go back to teaching in person, not online. So consider doing a 1 week or several weeks thematic programs in the summer if you just wanted to get a little bit of a taster of what it was like, a sampler of what it was like to study with us. I'm not going to give you a lot of details about executive education. In terms of the student life at the Graduate Institute, so we have 1,000 students. That's not enough to build swimming pools and you know, football fields and have a marching band. And also because our students are graduate students, you will find that a lot of their interests and a lot of their extracurricular activities actually revolve around their academic interests more than anything else. So they, you know, we have lots and lots of student initiatives that they run, and that give them a lot of opportunities for professional networking opportunities and to try their hand at organizing professional level events, you know, where they really get to practice what they're learning in the classroom. Eliane can give you more details about the student support and well-being services, the pastoral care, etc. But don't worry that we don't have any ledger activities. We do have agreements with the University of Geneva, which has, I think, closer to somewhere between 10 and 20,000 students at this point. 17,000, I think, is the estimate that I heard, literally down the street from us. And our students can access their leisure activities, sports facilities, and cultural clubs and societies as well. And also, it's a great opportunity to meet local students. Lots of information on our website about career outcomes, what students do after they finish studying with us. I will just mention the sectors. You know, a lot of students go and work in the public sector, either as diplomats, you know, maybe in the foreign service of their country, or internationally. Students work in cooperation and development, maybe in developing countries for NGOs, advocacy, lobbying organizations. And some students also end up in the private sector, maybe as advisors or research analysts for banks, for the consultancy firms, but also for entrepreneurial and startup ventures as well. I think I've run myself out of time. So if you want more information about the career services, let me just say that Geneva is really a very, very dense hub of international organizations. I think I have a slide on that coming up. I'll just scroll right to it. Here we go. So hundreds of international organizations of all shapes, forms, and sizes, the UN system, multilateral organizations, NGOs, nonprofits, etc. And we really, because of our historical presence in Geneva, we very actively maintain a lot of relationships with these organizations. And they give our students opportunities for internships, for jobs, for research projects, which Silke will tell you about, and all kinds of exchanges and activities. So there are about 200,000 people living in Geneva. It's a small city, 400,000 in the area. And apparently about 25% of the people who live here are actually involved with the international organizations in some way. And you can see just how dense that network is. Okay, so Geneva is really very much about world governance and these organizations. I'm going to stop here because my next slides are about the application process, which you already heard about from Eliane. So I am going to stay, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to tell you more, but I will not take up any more time. And I think it's back to Silke, or over to Silke, or back to you, Jennifer. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Oh, I think, can I take over from here? Is that okay? Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Silke Olsen, the academic coordinator of the interdisciplinary program at the Institute. And the reason I've been asked to come today is to present a little bit our program. And the reason that we present that program is because it's usually the one that most students in the joint programs end up applying to. It's half of our students at the Institute. I'm glad Eliane is nodding because I wasn't 100% sure, but yes, it is. And about half our student population actually is on that program. So I wanted to take a little bit of time, but not too much. You know, we can always clarify things with questions just to describe a little bit what the program is about and what you would be doing on that. And also, I mean, I want to start something that might not be so relevant for you, but just to put it up front that we are evolving. So the program used to be 2 separate interdisciplinary programs. So maybe you've heard those from colleagues or friends that were there before, but you had the Master in International Affairs and the Master in Development Studies. And so as of next year, it's quite exciting because the program is merging into one. And so that's why I'm presenting to the Master in International and Development Studies. So this really represents an evolution of the program. And on the practical side, it's really just a way for us to rationalize what we're offering. We're not really reinventing things, but we're strengthening them. It also made more sense for our students to have the single entry point. But it's also a concerted decision to combine international affairs and development, because this really represents what we want to offer our students, to have the competencies and confidence and also a sense of responsibility to drive positive transformation. That was the whole project also behind it. In any case, it will be a very similar course to what we have now. So I certainly invite you to look online if you want to get a better sense of the courses that we have on offer, because some will be the same, some will be very similar. And I'll just pop in the chat the link to our webpage, which is graduateinstitute.ch /mint-2022, because there you can really find a lot of information, detailed information about the program. But a few things that I did want to mention specifically was, I want to talk a little bit about our faculty, because I think it's something interesting about the program. So first of all, to say that we're a little bit different from the other departments at the Institute. We're a program and we work with all departments, which really speaks to the transdisciplinarity of the program and what Michal was saying, that we work on a range of different themes. And so that's why we work with lots of different departments to address issues from different disciplines, So we work with faculty from different departments, but we also have our own faculty who teach specifically for us. But we also have this interesting component of having lots of visiting faculty, which is quite unique to us in the sense that we invite, I don't want to name drop, but there's a lot of really interesting profiles of external experts that come in that are, really at the forefront of their field of expertise, and they end up coming to teach with us, for a semester. So, you might have a WTA counselor who's also an explorer and the authority on geopolitics in the polar region, also teach a course for you, so it's quite interesting. So you have this mix of our academic faculty, but also the visiting faculty, which brings in sort of this practice, and that really speaks to the practice orientated nature of the program. But let me talk a little bit more about the curriculum itself. So it's a 2-year program, so you would be here for 3 semesters out of the 4, as Diane outlined. And really the objective of our program is to help students to become future professionals and decision makers who are open to the world, but can also understand its complexity and tackle all these challenges. So it's a lot of words to say really that we offer a common core. So there's 4 pillars. We have a common core where we want to help our students develop their systemic thinking. So this is where you will find courses that address all these transversal themes that Michal also addressed earlier on, talking about sustainability, democracy and equality, fairness and justice. A lot of these are just a few examples, but these are the things that it's 1/4 of the program where you'll be really exploring these issues from a systemic perspective, from really from, exactly as Michal put it so accurately, sort of zooming out and looking at these issues and looking at all the different perspectives. But then also an important part of our program is the second pillar of specialization. We are not, these are similar specializations to the one we're offering now. And I'm sorry that I don't have a presentation ready, but you can see these on the website to kind of really take a look into the detail, but just to list them here so you have them. One is on conflict, peace and security. We have environment and sustainability, gender, race and diversity, global health, human rights and humanitarianism, mobilities, migration and boundaries, sustainable trade and finance. So these are really the 7 specializations that we offer to our students. I really invite you to have a look at the website so you can see a little bit. Each specialization has a dedicated faculty lead, and you can find out a little bit more about what their projects are in all these specializations. I really, we don't have time to go into the details now. So that's the second pillar of the program. The third pillar of the program is applied research and practice. And by this, I mean that you will be working on an applied research project. This is something that you might more commonly know as capstone project, and this is really a flagship of our program, whereby you get to collaborate with our partners in International Geneva and beyond on a problem, on a challenge, on a question that you need as students to work with them to find solution or suggest or research, all on this project, and it happens over 2 semesters, and it's really an opportunity, if anything, this will be one opportunity for you to interact with International Geneva directly. Of course, there's lots of opportunities outside of the applied research projects for you to do so, but this is one that is really built into the program, so there's no escaping it. You will be working with all these organizations that we have in Geneva. And as part of this pillar of applied research, we also combine that with practice, meaning that we also give you skills workshop on specific competencies that employers are looking for. And so these skills that change every year, so that you can see online what we have on offer this year, that change because we really try to respond to the need of the employers, but also the interests of our students. And so, but you can expect to do workshops on data visualization, project management, or negotiation techniques. We have one person coming in that he's been, doing negotiation at the absolute highest level, and he comes in and teaches you how he does it, and it's quite interactive. It's really students really appreciate it. So it's quite an interesting component of the program. And the last part is the thesis, which you will do within a specialization, and it's really a chance for you to really dig deep in the subject of interest to you and to really bring together all the skills that you've acquired as part of the program. So I know it's a lot to take in. I hope it is clear enough. But I could talk a lot more, but I don't really want to take up too much of your time, because I think it's good to sort of take time and read where you can see online, and then I'll be here to answer any questions that you have. I did want to mention about the application process, that when you submit your application, you will be asked to declare your specialization preference. This is something new. You're still being admitted into the program, but you need to indicate at least 1 or 2 preference, because you will be placed into a specialization before the start of the program on the basis of your preference. So it's really important that you also include that. And this is also something a little bit new worth mentioning for you. I'm sorry, I feel like I have so many things I wanted to say, but I tried to be mindful of time. So I think I'll just hand over back to Jennifer and to lead the rest of the session. I'm of course very happy to answer any more specific question that you might have about the program.
Thank you so much. I think that was really helpful information. And thanks for pointing us to the resources online as well. So for Wellesley students, the process is if you're current juniors, then to apply for this, you would start the application by putting in your proposal to study away in my Wellesley by December 1st. And then we have an internal application deadline for your statement of purpose and resume and references, which is the last day of classes in December. And then within about a week of that, the nomination committee would get back to you to let you know if we're moving your application forward. And then you would need to fill out the application on the in the portal. We would give you the special link for that. I think really if we just want to open it up to any student questions now, I think that would be the best way to go. And if you're sophomores now looking at this, then the application doesn't start until next fall. No questions? Lulu.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you so much for the presentation. I was kind of just wondering, I have two questions. So with the specializations, do you have to choose one, or could you do like two specializations, kind of like an interdisciplinary thing?
Okay, shall I take this question? Yeah. So the specialization, you need to pick one. So at the moment you can only pick the one, but it doesn't mean that you don't get exposure to the other specializations. So for example, I mean, the courses are cross-listed because of course none of the specialization are hermetic. None of these issues are, completely, walled off from one another. So in that sense, you do get that exposure, but also through the applied research project, which is one of the pillars of the program, you actually don't do that one within your specialization. So it's an opportunity for you to explore. You will be, they are organized by specialization, but you're not bound to it. So this is really an opportunity for you to travel because of course issues are cross-cutting. So if you're looking at, migration and if you're interested in migration and mobilities, there's certainly are very obvious ties to environmental issues, and there will certainly be a project that covers that both. So you might be interested in taking that project, which is offered as part of the environmental specialization. So in that sense, just an example to say that you can really, get exposure to the different specialization, even if you do need to pick only one.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question is, so Wellesley also has the semester at the Graduate Institute, like for sophomores. Do you guys find that a lot of people do both, where they do a semester at the Graduate Institute and then they do go on to do the joint MA/BA program?
Maybe I can take that. Yes, we did have one student who started to do what we call the undergraduate semester program. She then did the BA/MA program, and now, if I'm not wrong, she even registered to the PhD program. So she really did the whole path here.
Okay, thank you.
We also, Lulu, have a number of students who studied abroad in a different program in their junior year in a different country, and then also did the BA/MA semester. I would say probably almost half of our students are in that situation. But you can't do a full year abroad, your full junior year abroad at Wellesley, and then also the BA/MA, because you're limited to 2 semesters of study abroad.
Okay, thank you.
We can also take questions in the chat if you don't have your audio.
Can I ask you guys a question? Well, I'm just curious, what are you all majoring in, if you know?
Okay, I can go first. I am a history and environmental studies major.
I can go. I'm an international relations political science major.
It looks like we have Grace and Janet in the chat, IR Econ and potentially classics IR Econ.
Okay. Thank you. It's really interesting, I think, for us to know who, you know, what kind of students are interested in this particular program. So it's quite diverse. Thank you.
Great. Well, if there are not other questions, I might stop the recording and then we can wrap up and send around. And I think maybe if you all could put your contact information in the chat before I stop, so that students can follow up with any questions afterwards.
I'm sorry, I'm really slow at typing clearly, but everybody else just give me a second.
Okay, I think it's all in there. So I'll stop the recording.